Hi gang, Rob here. It's the afternoon of 12 November 2016, and I'm introducing to you today a 3-video series on my visit yesterday to the Wilfred Works in Shelburne, Indiana. That is the home of Tony Bose Custom Knives and also Reese Bose Custom Knives. My friend Evan Nicolaides of Esnix Knives, Sarasota, Florida, whom I met at the GEC Rendezvous, spends a lot of time with Tony and Reese when he's able to come up to Indiana. And Tony Bose has been Evan's most influential mentor in making custom traditional knives. And he sort of put Tony and me together, and in conjunction with his latest visit to the Wilfred Works, I was invited to come along and join those 3 guys for the day, Tony and Evan and Tony's son Reese. So we've got 3 videos in this series I think you guys will enjoy. If you're not familiar with the Bose family, Tony is probably the foremost maker of custom traditional slip joints in the world. He also does some collaborations with case knives, some under $100 production models, and also some very limited production case Bose mid-techs in the $300 to $400 range. Just a wonderful man, and his son Reese is a blast too. I think you're going to enjoy this. This video that you're going to watch first is going to be the shop tour of the Wilfred Works by Tony, and the second video will be sort of a sit-down interview with Tony in his office. And then the third interview will be the 3 of us, myself and Tony and Evan, which is pretty cool. You know, Tony's 70 years old and Evan's in his late 20s, and to watch the mantle passed from one generation to the next in the making of traditional pocket knives is very cool, because the art is not in danger of dying. So take a look first at the shop tour, and I will link in the description the subsequent videos in the series, and in the other 2 I'll link back to this one and the remaining one also, so you'll be able to watch them all together. Enjoy this one, and I think you'll find Tony a very interesting man, very gracious but with some pretty firm attitudes about things. So enjoy. Okay guys, we've just shown up at the Wilfred Works in southwest Indiana, home of Bose Knives, and I think if we look a little bit we might find Tony Bose in his lair.
Hi Rob, how you doing?
Good, Tony, how are you?
I'm just fine.
Thanks for hosting today.
You're welcome. We have a big old bullshit session here.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of that, haven't we?
Yeah, a little bit.
So we're in the home and the shop of one of the most renowned custom traditional pocket knife makers in the world. We're here. It's like amazing.
You're embarrassing me now.
So would you mind if we look around the shop a little bit and you can show us what you use and how you make these knives?
Nothing's off limits. Take a look.
All right. So it looks like we've got quite an array of Burr King grinders.
Yeah, it took a long time to get them, but I got a bank of them set up for different operations where all I got to do is walk down the hill.
So not much change in belts. You've got it all set up kind of in a...
It's changing setup's what it is. Belts aren't hard to change. It takes time to change the setup on it, you know. I had this one built just to grind blades on. It's got a 20-inch wheel. It's the prototype machine that Burr King made, and it's absolutely fabulous.
For making big, huge hollow grinds.
Yeah.
So hollow grind knives that cut like flat ground blades, but they don't get thick.
That's right. They stay thin for a lot of sharpening. This thing is so quiet. It's variable speed. It's so balanced. You hardly even know it's running.
Wow.
That matters whenever you're sitting there or standing there all day long, you know. And it'll go from nothing up to fast enough you don't want to get your hand in it.
I bet so.
Yeah.
So what do we have in process in the shop?
I got a the real deal Zulu Spear I'm making here.
So
This is not an imitation, folks.
this is not. It doesn't have an arrowhead shield, and
It may before it's done, but
just as a statement.
yeah. Well, I use that arrowhead shield. I'm the one that had Ohio to make it.
Amazing.
It was an old case on.
So let's look at this thing close. You are the father of the Zulu Spear, are you not?
Well, Zulu Spear blade was made by Charade back in the 30s for 2 or 3 years, but it was in a swell center frame,
Right.
and I didn't like it, so I put the blade in a curved jack, and I just think it really feels good in your hand.
It sure does.
And it's been a very popular pattern. I know guys that, well, I made it in a fixed blade. There's a picture on the wall of where it got field rest of the deer with one. Just a handy blade.
So this station is kind of for finishing handwork?
I'm up and down like a yo-yo on this thing. If I ain't growing a grinder, I'm sitting here doing something on it. That's my workstation. I got everything I need at hand's reach, you know.
So
arm's reach.
I see some sandpaper. What kind of a block is that it's sitting on?
Oh, it's a granite surface plate.
Okay.
It's a true surface for flattening things and sanding things.
So a lot of hand rubbed satin finishes come out of this.
The hand rub on the flats of the blade. I do the hand rub on a wheel. I put a wheel in a vise and tape paper on there and move the blade instead of little sticks and stuff like they use.
Gotcha.
The rubber finds an even plane and it makes a real nice finish.
Right. So you're using a rubber contact wheel in a fixed position.
I grind it on that 20. And I put paper on here and tape it on there, then I move the blade across it.
So that smaller radius
Gets
you
down
can,
in
yeah.
it. Gets out in the middle of it.
Gotcha.
And to finish it off, you can kind of tip it a little bit and it'll make a nice even finish.
I've always wondered how you get into at the root of a plunge grind on a hand rub satin finish and make it all look uniform.
That's where you do it.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, if you let that lap over a little bit, it'll bump up on it. Mm-hmm. And it'll get right up in there. But the secret is to get it ground to almost a mirror polish. And don't leave anything deep in there. If you do that, it don't take very long to get that finish on it.
Because you're taking a mirror surface and then putting the satin in it.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to get out.
If you got a 220 grit mark in there, you're going to roll on that for a couple of weeks.
Exactly.
You
Gotcha.
might as well go back to the grinder, you know.
So you do everything from start to finish in this shop.
Yeah.
Starting with raw materials, you do your own heat treats, and
Yeah.
everything here.
Yeah.
One at a time by hand.
Yeah, sometimes I'll get maybe 6 or 8 blades and springs ready and heat treat them all at once, but when I pull them out of the box after they're heat treated, I do them one at a time. Because you get in a zone on a knife, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't like to have 2 or 3 things going at once. So I finish them one at a time. Works for me.
Apparently so. And then this looks like, what do we got going on over here? Is this where Reese generally works, or both of you use this
No, that's
station?
where Reese works. I work on this side of it sometimes if I'm soldering or stamping blades or something like that. But I got a little grinder here a guy made for me in 1972 or 3 that I do all the tang work on. It's undercut here on this plate and it'll get right up in the corner on the back square.
Oh, I see that.
See what I mean?
Yep.
You got 90 degrees here. And I've modified this several times over the years, but this shop couldn't run without this grinder. And it's still a good one.
So you've got just enough belt hanging over that undercut to get right into a tight corner, but you can get around
Yeah,
it.
you know, you track this back and forth. You need to bring that belt all the way out to the edge of that, and you get right in the corner of it.
Right.
And we got a big 6x48 with flattened things on. And I got a couple Powermatic variable drill presses.
Those weren't made last year in China, were they?
No,
No.
those are the real deal. Reese got a Burr King over here he works on.
Guys, for those of you who don't know, Reese is Tony's son. Another extremely accomplished custom knife maker in his own right. Wait, I think you might have just walked in. Hey, Reese.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
We were just snooping in your area.
That's good.
Yeah.
I got this old speed cut we do rough work on.
Old Delta drill press there, little one.
Yeah, there's a little drill press I use for handle materials, and wood cutting bandsaw. I went for 42 years without a surface grinder doing this, and I finally got one.
Wow.
It's been converted to a belt. You can really,
I was gonna say I've never seen a belt surface grinder before.
you can really get some nice finishes on something if you really want it.
And you don't have to keep dressing your grinding wheel.
No.
That's pretty. That is really neat.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a guy that converts them. It was like that when I bought it. I traded a friend out of it, actually. And I got a little tabletop nail we use to cut pulls and no relief and liners, and that's about all we use that for.
Well, I don't see any digital controller on that.
Right here.
Those are the digits, yeah, and they control the mill.
We got a couple metal cutting bandsaws.
Oh, there's what I need right there.
One's for bimetal, and the other one's got a finer blade on it to cut liner material, so
Gotcha.
forth with.
You can't cut metal on a wood bandsaw.
No.
No.
You can't cut liner material on a 14-tooth bimetal blade either. It'll pucker it.
Yeah.
Then I
Interesting,
have- if you
interesting
look right
pictures.
Right back in here, I got an excellent picture of my buddy Charlie Campana.
Oh my gosh, look at this, guys.
Yeah, in all his glory.
Charlie with Mickey Mouse ears, looking mean. What was he mad because you took his picture?
I don't know, I ain't messing with him.
And we got some knife pictures up here on the wall too.
Yeah, a guy used to do computer scans on those, and they'd laminate them, send them to him, and I started papering the walls with them. They're just
pretty
fun,
cool.
fun to have there.
So where do you do your heat treating?
Heat treatment down out here. They used to be in this shop, and I never had any air conditioner in there, and it would be absolutely brutal in the summertime, you know.
That's it, huh?
There's my doers for liquid nitrogen. I do a sub-zero quench. And I either temper in this oven or this oven, depends on what steel.
So there is a genuine Oster.
Yeah, but it's got a dial thermometer in it.
It's got a dial
Because
thermometer.
these aren't accurate.
Oster toaster oven, aka draw furnace.
Yeah.
Now,
Make your breakfast or your blade.
exactly. So since we got you here and we're talking about heat treating, you may have noticed if you spend any time on the forums that a lot of collectors know virtually nothing about heat treating.
A lot of collectors know virtually nothing about the history of knives.
So let's walk them through how this process works. This oven, or kiln, or furnace.
Okay, if I'm going to heat treat a piece of 154 cm, I wrap it in stainless high heat foil.
Which protects the surface from oxidation, right?
That's right, and I put it in there and I stress relieve it for 2 hours at 1250 degrees.
Okay.
Then I take the temperature up to 1975 and let it soak for a half hour. After that, I take it out and put it in a fan and air cool it and let it set for about 45 minutes. Then I put it in liquid nitrogen overnight.
So that air cooling for certain types of steel is quenching,
Yeah.
like A2, D2.
If you tried to quench it in oil, it'd crack.
Right.
It quenches it too fast.
Too fast. So,
After it's in the nitrogen all night, I take it out and leave it hang until it comes back to absolute room temperature.
right. And that what we're doing there is on the austenitic steels where if any of the austenite got trapped and didn't allow it to come out into martensite,
Change it over to martensite.
it brings it, it lets it come out so it's full hard.
Paul Bose told me you'd have at least 20% in there if you didn't do the sub-zero quench.
Right.
So
That'll give you big old soft spots in your blade.
Yeah. After it comes back to room temperature, I give it a double temper at 960 degrees. I catch the secondary hardness. Paul also tells me it makes a tougher blade.
Right.
Then after that, it's ready to finish, grind, and make the knife. Usually turns out a 61, Rockwell 61 or 2.
Right. So a lot of guys use the term temper incorrectly, don't they? Like if I get the knife hot, it'll ruin the temper. Well, you're actually tempering the knife more than when you get it hot.
154. Well, a carbon steel, if you overheat it, will burn it up. But
Yeah.
154 cm was, I have read, which was developed for jet engine props, will work at 1,000 degrees. I mean, if I'm tempering it at 960, you got to get it above that to hurt it, and you ain't gonna hold on to it if you get it above
Right.
that.
So it almost behaves like a high-speed steel.
Yeah, it's just,
Takes a really high heat before it softens.
yeah. But you still want to, when you finish grinding, you still want to use fresh belts.
And tell us about that. A fresh belt versus a worn belt does what?
Well, a warm belt, all it does is shine and create heat,
Right.
and you can't get clean grinds with it. So always get a set of fresh belts for about every knife or every blade I grind.
Gotcha. So what kind of process controls or things do you use in your heat treating process to know you are where you want to be?
I use factory recommended specs.
Gotcha.
They've spent a lot of money researching that and developing it, so who in the hell am I to do it different?
So, and like for instance, Crucible is super about having very precise recipes for how to treat their steels. Yeah.
That's what I do. I follow what they recommend, because I mean, it's just stupid not to, I think.
Exactly.
I've had great success. I've had a knife skin an elephant. I've had them bear hunting. I've had them up and down the Amazon. I've never had one fail. I've never had one sent back because it wouldn't cut. I've had good success with them.
Yeah. So you can do this almost in a kitchen, right? You got your toaster oven.
Yeah.
You got your Austinizing furnace.
Yeah. I guess you can bake biscuits in that.
You probably could. You know, back in the day when I was a heat treater, way back in the day, we used to cook dinner on the back of a tempering furnace.
Oh, I'm sure
Yeah.
you probably did.
We
Tom Plummer cooked a bunch of steaks in his one time.
If we had a draw furnace running at 400 or 500 degrees, we'd cook Cornish game hens in them on third trick. So let's look at the layout we got here. Guys, this end of the shop, where we were initially, is sort of the far south end of the compound, and then we're in this sort of middle area where the heat treating operation is. Then there's an office, and attached to that is the Bose homestead.
All I gotta do is open the door and holler coffee,
Isn't that something?
and it appears, or it used to. That's the.
And doesn't take you long to get home for dinner.
No, I don't have to get out in the weather to go to work.
It's pretty awesome. And you've been here, you told me, for what, 40 some years?
We've lived here for 48 years. We've just been in this house for 8 years.
And you built this one to suit everything you do, looks like.
Well, I did. When I built this, it was a garage, but I built it as a knife shop. I forget how much wiring's in that thing, but I wired it there's 220 in 6 different places, and a receptacle over 3 feet around it. I didn't want to run an extension cord in a new shop, And I built it to serve my purpose. Hey, that's the way I make my living.
It's pretty cool being here, I have to tell you. It's the shop and the house kind of feels like an old pair of blue jeans, and it's amazing to think that that $2,000-$3,000 custom slip joints come out of this place.
I know. You look at me and I look too stupid to do that. No?
I wasn't even gonna say that.
No, I'm glad you're enjoying your visit.
It's great. It's great being here. You want to go in the office and sit down and have a little talk about how you got here?
Okay.
All right, we'll tripod up, guys. Be right back. That was fun, huh? And as you can tell from the way that one ended, the next video will be our sit-down interview in Tony's office, so stay tuned for that. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the Word is sharp.